There's a lot of people in our society who may have a screw loose. And if you're constantly telling them that American democracy is going to end if this guy gets elected president, well, somebody is going to feel that they're justified for doing this.
So he's right about that. A Secret Service briefing soon on the second attempt to assassinate former President Trump. We're going to see if we get some answers on why someone wasn't a step ahead of this suspect, Ryan Ruth, when red flags literally seem to be everywhere on this guy. Here is a retired police officer who says that he had more than 100 interactions with Ruth.
Mr. Ruth's attitude was, that he was above everybody. He could do what he wanted. He liked to run his mouth and play the victim.
So, and this is a nurse who says that she met Ruth when the two of them were in Kyiv as part of civilian foreigner efforts to help people on the ground there. But she said she got a very strange feeling from him after she got to know him. Watch this.
He wanted to kill most world leaders. I don't remember. It's been over 2 years since I was with him, but I definitely remember he always talked about wanting to kill Putin, Kim Jong-un. He developed plans.
So Republican Congressman Mike Kelly leads a task force, which is now in the situation where they have to probe 2 assassination attempts against President Trump. He's receiving a Secret Service briefing just a few minutes from now. That's set to get underway at 4 o'clock. Congressman Kelly, thank you very much. Great to have you with us today.
Thank you, Martha. Thanks for having me on.
So when I heard about this briefing this morning, obviously it's very important anytime you all get information from the Secret Service because you're trying to do this investigation and figure out where the holes are and what happened. But I learned that it was going to be a virtual meeting and that Ronald Rowe, the new acting director of Secret Service, is not going to be involved in it. Can you explain those two things?
No, I can't explain a lot of when we talk about who we're going to get briefings from and how things change on a moment's notice. My understanding is Mr. Rowe is in Florida right now, and he won't be back here in D.C., but we're going to continue with the briefing, and we'll see what we get from that. I think that all of us right now, we're sitting back, and so in the last 60 days, there's been 2 attempts on former President Trump's life, and while the rhetoric is awfully heated, I think at one point or another, we have to ask ourselves as Americans, what in the world is going on right now? So we see this latest shooter and we try to follow his background and say, so people knew about this. This guy's obviously, he's got some kind of a balance problem. But we seem to have more and more of these people that are cropping up right now. And maybe they think they're the savior of the world. They're the angel that needed to arrive. And you look at this, and a lot of it, I think it has to be some type of a mental illness, but we're going to continue to do a really deep dive. As you know, we started back in August with the task force, while the members of the task force, congressional members, 13, are all over the country in different time zones, different parts of the country. This task force has been at work, thousands and thousands of pages of details we've looked over, 23 transcribed interviews. I was probably present for at least 6 of them, and a lot of that was with the local law forces that were back in Butler, Pennsylvania, that were on that site that day and trying to come to some kind of an understanding. Martha, as you know, and we know, it's a preparation for everything that is the key. There seems to be a lot of the lack of preparation in the Butler event. What happened on Sunday, we're going to find out as soon as we can.
You know what? We know they got lucky twice. And obviously, that was a good thing. We have several more weeks left in this election. And it just strikes me, I gotta go. But when I think about the people who got pushed off of social media because they said something wrong and were tracked on social media because they said something that the community or the owners of it didn't like. And then I hear about the stuff that this guy was doing. And yet he can fly from Hawaii to Florida and get close to where President Trump is. And nobody seems to know about his movements. I find, just something that we all need to kind of think about and certainly get right before something happens again. Representative Kelly, I thank you very much leading this task force. We look forward to hearing more from you, sir. And your meeting is at 4 o'clock. Yes. Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.